I want you to take a deep breath right now. Let's just start there. Breathe in, hold it, let it out, because what I'm about to say might just shift something inside you forever. If you're feeling behind in life, if you're waking up with that heavy feeling in your chest like you're late to the party of your own existence, I'm here to tell you it's okay. It's okay because guess what? Feeling behind doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're paying attention. It means you're craving more for yourself. But here's what most people miss. That feeling doesn't have to keep you stuck. It's a sign that it's time to wake up and do something different. You see, we live in a world that wants you to believe there's a timeline for everything. Graduate by this age, find love by that age, own a house by 30, have kids by 35, be a CEO by 40. And when you don't hit those milestones, you start thinking you're broken. But that's a lie. It's a lie that's been drilled into you since childhood. Because the truth is, your life is yours. It's your timeline, your path, and nobody else's. Stop looking at your friend's highlight reel and thinking you're behind. You're not behind. You're exactly where you need to be to learn the lessons that only you can learn right now. I know it's hard to see that when you're scrolling through social media at midnight, watching everyone else's success stories. But those stories, they're edited, they're curated, they're filtered. Your life is real, and it's messy, and that's exactly how it's supposed to be. Let me tell you something about feeling behind. It's not a death sentence. It's a wake-up call. It's a chance to start again, no matter your age, no matter your circumstances. Because when you feel behind, you have a choice. You can stay stuck in that feeling, or you can use it as fuel. You can use it to get clear on what you really want, to take one small step forward, even if it's not perfect. Because progress, my friends, is never linear. It's messy. It's full of wrong turns and detours, and that's okay. So today, I want you to do something radical. I want you to stop beating yourself up. I want you to stop telling yourself that you're not good enough, that you're too late, that you missed your shot. Because those stories, they're holding you back. They're keeping you small. And you're bigger than that. You're braver than that. Here's what I know for sure. Your habits create your future. Not your age, not your resume, not your bank account, your habits. If you want to get unstuck, start there. Start with the smallest thing you can do today that will make tomorrow just a little bit better, because small wins build momentum. They build confidence. And confidence, my friends, is how you break out of the feeling of being behind. You want to know what the real secret is? It's that everyone feels behind sometimes, even the people you think have it all together, even the people you admire. The difference is they don't let that feeling define them. They don't let it stop them. They let it push them to grow. So if you're feeling behind, I want you to remember this. Your story isn't over. It's just getting started. Every day you wake up is another chance to choose differently, to show up for yourself, to do the thing you've been avoiding, to take one small action that says, I'm not done yet, because you're not done. You're not behind. You're human. And the best part of being human is that you get to keep going. You get to rewrite the rules. You get to create a life that feels like yours no matter how long it takes. So today, stop measuring your worth by someone else's timeline. Start measuring it by your courage to keep showing up. Start measuring it by your decision to believe in yourself even when it's hard. Because that's the real success story, the one where you refuse to give up on yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your permission slip. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be to take the next step. And if you're willing to take that step, even when it feels scary, even when it feels like you're too late, I promise you everything can change. Feeling behind is one of the most frustrating and draining experiences in life. It's like this low-level anxiety that's always there, gnawing at the back of your mind, telling you that no matter how hard you try, you're just not catching up. You're just not where you should be. It's a feeling that's so easy to slip into, especially when the world around you seems to be moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour. But here's what most people don't realize. Feeling behind is normal. It's actually a sign that you're paying attention, you're aware, you care about your future. That's not something to shame yourself for, that's something to honor. We live in a culture obsessed with measuring everything: money, status, followers, likes. We're told from a young age that there's a timeline for success.
The real danger isn't feeling behind. It's the shame and self-judgment that come with it. That's what keeps you stuck, because the moment you start labeling yourself as behind, you stop seeing the possibilities in front of you. You start seeing every opportunity as something that's already passed you by. But life doesn't work like that. Life isn't a linear checklist. It's a messy, unpredictable, beautiful journey that unfolds differently for everyone. Here's the thing: feeling behind isn't a reflection of your worth or your potential. It's simply an emotion, a signal. It's your brain's way of saying, hey, I want more for myself. And that's a good thing. It means you're awake. It means you're paying attention. But if you don't manage that feeling, if you let it fester, it can become toxic. It can turn into self-sabotage. That's why it's so important to separate the feeling of being behind from the facts of your life. Because here's the fact: you are not behind, you are on your own unique path, and it's unfolding exactly as it's meant to. Every twist and turn, every mistake, every so-called delay is teaching you something. It's building resilience. It's shaping you into the person you're meant to become. So instead of focusing on where you think you should be, start focusing on what you can do right now with what you have. Start small. Don't try to overhaul your entire life overnight. That's a recipe for burnout and disappointment. Instead, ask yourself, what's one thing I can do today to move forward, even just a little bit? It could be as simple as reaching out to someone for advice, or spending 30 minutes working on a skill you've always wanted to develop, or even just taking a moment to reflect on what you really want. Not what other people expect from you, but what you want. And when that feeling of being behind creeps in, and trust me, it will, pause and breathe. Remind yourself that you're not alone. Every single person you admire has felt this way at some point. The difference is that they didn't let it stop them. They used it as fuel. They turned it into motivation. The other thing I want you to remember is that feeling behind can actually be a blessing. It can be the push you need to start showing up for yourself in a way you never have before. When you're feeling comfortable and everything's going according to plan, you're not forced to grow. But when you feel behind, you're forced to ask hard questions. You're forced to get real with yourself. And that's where the magic happens. That's where you find the courage to make changes that can transform your entire life. So instead of running from that feeling, I want you to lean into it. Let it wake you up. Let it remind you of how much power you actually have. Because at the end of the day, you are not defined by how fast you're moving compared to other people. You're defined by your willingness to keep going, no matter how long it takes. You're defined by your resilience, your commitment to growth, and your belief in yourself, especially when it feels like you're behind. Let that feeling be your teacher, not your tormentor. Let it show you what matters most to you. Let it push you to take small, meaningful steps every single day. Because if you can do that, you'll realize something incredible. You're not behind at all. You're exactly where you need to be to create the life you want, one day at a time. It's so easy to think that there's a single moment or breakthrough that's going to change everything for you. We're constantly looking for that aha moment that will instantly flip a switch and catapult us forward. But the truth is, real progress doesn't come from one big moment. It comes from showing up day after day, even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it. That's where growth happens. That's where you build the kind of character and confidence that will carry you through any challenge. We're wired to want instant gratification. We're told that success is supposed to feel good and look glamorous. But in reality, success is often boring. It's not about the highlight reel or the shiny Instagram posts. It's about the unsexy, repetitive work you do behind the scenes, the quiet, daily habits that nobody sees. The small, consistent actions that add up over time, and I know that's not the exciting answer most people want to hear, but it's the truth, because you don't just wake up one day as the person you want to be. You create her through the tiny choices you make day in and day out. This is why discipline is so important. It's what bridges the gap between where you are and where you want to be. And discipline doesn't mean being perfect. It doesn't mean never slipping up or never feeling tired or overwhelmed. It means doing what you said you would do, even when it's hard, even when your motivation is gone and you're doubting everything. Discipline is about keeping the promises you make to yourself, because every time you do, you're sending a message to your brain that you are someone who follows through, someone who can be trusted, and that builds self-respect. But here's the thing, discipline doesn't have to be about pushing yourself to the brink of burnout. It doesn't have to be harsh or punishing. True discipline is about compassion. It's about recognizing that you're human and that there will be days when you fall short. It's about giving yourself grace on those days and then getting back up and trying again tomorrow, because progress isn't linear, it's messy, it's full of setbacks and detours, and that's okay. What matters is that you keep going. One of the biggest lies we tell ourselves is that we need to feel motivated to take action. But motivation is a feeling, and feelings come and go. If you rely on motivation to get things done, you're going to spend a lot of time stuck. What you really need is a system, a routine, something that keeps you moving forward even when you don't feel like it. That's why habits are so powerful. They're like autopilot for your goals. Once you build them, they carry you through the tough days. So ask yourself, what's one habit you could start building today? It doesn't have to be huge. It could be as simple as waking up 30 minutes earlier to focus on your goals, or spending 10 minutes journaling every night to clear your mind, or committing to a daily walk to take care of your body and reset your brain. Small habits like these might not feel like much in the moment, but over weeks and months, they create momentum, they build your confidence. They show you that change is possible because you're living it. And don't be afraid to start small. That's actually the best way to start. When you try to change everything at once, you're setting yourself up to fail. But when you focus on one small habit at a time, you set yourself up to succeed. You build the muscle of consistency, and that muscle is way more important than any single result. You also need to remember that your environment matters. If you're constantly surrounded by people who don't believe in your goals, or who are always negative or complaining, it's going to drag you down. That's not you being weak. That's just how our brains work. We're wired to mirror the people around us, so be intentional about who you spend time with. Seek out people who are on the same path as you, people who inspire you to show up as your best self, even when it's hard. Because when you're surrounded by that kind of energy, it's so much easier to stay disciplined. Ultimately, this is about more than just achieving your goals. It's about becoming the kind of person who can handle whatever life throws your way. The kind of person who doesn't give up when things get tough. The kind of person who can look in the mirror and feel proud, not because you're perfect, but because you're committed to growth, because you're willing to do the work even when it's uncomfortable. That's the mindset shift I want you to make today. Stop waiting for the perfect moment to start. Stop telling yourself that you'll get disciplined when you feel ready. The truth is, you're never going to feel 100% ready. And that's okay. You don't need to be. You just need to take one small step, and then another, and another. Because every step you take, no matter how small, is a vote for the kind of person you want to become. So if you're feeling behind right now, I want you to know that you're not alone, and you're not broken. You're just at the beginning of a journey that's going to be worth every single hard moment. Lean into the process. Embrace the boring work and trust that the small things you do today will create a life that feels anything but small. We live in a world that's obsessed with quick results and instant gratification. Everywhere you look, there are messages telling you that you should have it all figured out by now, that if you're not successful in your 20s or early 30s, you're falling behind, and that creates this constant pressure to measure your life against other people's highlight reels. But what most people don't understand is that comparison is a trap. It's a silent killer of your motivation and your confidence. When you compare your journey to someone else's, you're always going to come up short. Because you're not seeing their whole story. You're only seeing the parts they choose to share, the curated moments of success, not the endless hours of hard work and self-doubt that led up to it. And the truth is, most of us don't even know what's really going on behind the scenes of someone else's life. We're comparing our messy, unfiltered reality to someone else's highlight reel, and it's not a fair fight. But here's the thing, your path is your own. You don't need to rush it, and you don't need to justify it to anyone else. The fact that you're here, showing up and trying, even when it feels like you're not making progress, means you're already further along than most people who never even start. Your journey isn't supposed to look like anyone else's, and that's what makes it so powerful. Because the lessons you learn along the way, especially the ones that come from falling down and getting back up, are what shape you into the person you're meant to be. We've all heard that saying, comparison is the thief of joy, but I think it's even more than that. Comparison is the thief of your purpose, because when you're constantly measuring yourself against other people, you stop paying attention to what you actually want. You stop listening to your own voice. You get so busy chasing what looks good on the outside that you forget to check in with what feels right on the inside, and that's when you lose sight of your own dreams. So if you're feeling stuck right now, if you're feeling like you're not where you should be, I want you to take a step back and ask yourself, whose timeline are you really on? Is it yours, or is it someone else's? Because the only timeline that matters is the one that aligns with your values and your vision for your life. And here's the truth that most people never understand. Progress is messy. It doesn't always look like a straight line. Sometimes it's 2 steps forward and 1 step back. Sometimes it's a complete detour that ends up teaching you something you never would have learned otherwise, and that's okay, because growth isn't about doing it perfectly. It's about staying in the game even when it's hard. It's about choosing to keep going even when you don't feel like you're getting anywhere. One of the most powerful things you can do when you're feeling behind is to redefine what success means to you. Not what it looks like to everyone else, but what it actually feels like to you. Maybe it's not about the fancy job title or the perfect relationship or the big house. Maybe it's about feeling fulfilled. Maybe it's about waking up every day with a sense of purpose, knowing that you're building a life that feels authentic to who you are. When you start measuring your progress by your own standards, you take back your power. Another thing to remember is that your pace is perfect for you. You don't need to go faster just because someone else seems to be ahead. Think of it like running a marathon. If you try to keep up with someone else's pace, you're going to burn out. But if you focus on your own breath, your own stride, you're going to find a rhythm that feels sustainable and strong. And that's how you get to the finish line, not by sprinting, but by staying steady and true to yourself. It's also important to give yourself credit for how far you've already come. Most of the time, we're so focused on what we haven't done that we forget to celebrate what we have done. Take a moment right now to look back at where you were a year ago, or even 6 months ago. I bet you've made way more progress than you're giving yourself credit for, and those small wins, they matter. They're the proof that you're moving forward even when it doesn't feel like it. At the end of the day, you have to remember that life isn't a race. It's not about getting there first. It's about building something meaningful and real, something that you can be proud of, even if it doesn't look like anyone else's version of success. So take a deep breath, trust your journey, and keep going. Because the only person you need to impress is the one you see in the mirror every day, and she deserves a life that feels true to her, not one that's built on comparisons and outside noise. The truth that most people never understand is this: there will always be challenges, setbacks, and moments of self-doubt in your journey, and these are not signs that you're failing. They are proof that you're actually growing. When you're feeling behind or stuck, it's so easy to let those challenges turn into excuses. You tell yourself, "I'm not good enough," or "I don't have what it takes," and suddenly those obstacles become walls that stop you from even trying. But what if I told you those obstacles are actually opportunities in disguise? Because every time you face something hard and keep going, you're building resilience. You're developing the mental toughness that's going to carry you through every other challenge you'll face in the future. We live in a culture that wants everything to be easy and comfortable. We're bombarded with messages that tell us if something is hard, it must be the wrong path, but that's not true. In fact, the hard stuff is usually the right path. It's the stuff that challenges you, that forces you to level up, that pushes you to become more than you thought you could be. And when you start to see those challenges not as roadblocks but as part of the journey, everything changes. Think about it this way: if you're lifting weights at the gym, the whole point is to create resistance. That's what makes your muscles stronger. It's the same with your life, the challenges you're facing right now. They're not there to hold you back. They're there to help you grow. They're giving you the chance to prove to yourself that you can handle it. And once you've handled one challenge, you're going to have the confidence to tackle the next one. That's how you build momentum. I know it's not easy. When you're in the middle of a tough time, it can feel like you're stuck in a hole you can't climb out of. But here's what you need to remember: you are stronger than you think. You have already overcome so much just to get to this point. And even if it doesn't feel like it right now, you have everything you need to keep moving forward. It's about taking one small step at a time, even when you don't see the whole path ahead. Because progress doesn't always look like giant leaps. It often looks like a series of tiny, consistent actions that add up over time. One of the biggest mistakes people make is waiting for the perfect moment to start. They think they need to have it all figured out first, that they need to feel ready and confident before they can take action. But here's the reality: the perfect moment doesn't exist. If you keep waiting for it, you're going to be waiting your whole life. The only way to build confidence is to start before you feel ready, to take action even when you're scared. Because every time you push through that fear, you're training your brain to believe in yourself a little bit more. It's also important to remember that you're not alone in this. Every single person you look up to, every successful person you admire, has faced setbacks and moments of doubt. They didn't get where they are by never making mistakes. They got there by refusing to let those mistakes define them. They got there by learning from every single stumble and using it as fuel to keep going. That's what separates the people who succeed from the people who stay stuck: the willingness to keep trying, even when it's hard. Another thing that will help you navigate those challenging moments is to have a clear sense of why you're doing what you're doing. When you know your why, it gives you something to hold onto when everything else feels shaky. It's like an anchor in the middle of a storm. So if you're feeling lost right now, take some time to reconnect with your reasons. What are you working towards? What kind of life do you want to create for yourself? When you have that vision in your heart, it becomes so much easier to keep going, even when it feels like you're moving in slow motion. And finally, give yourself some grace. We're so quick to be hard on ourselves, to judge ourselves for not being further along. But the truth is, you're doing the best you can with what you have right now. You're learning, you're growing, and that's what matters. So be patient with yourself. Celebrate the small wins. Because when you do, you're going to realize that you're not as far behind as you think. You're exactly where you're meant to be, At the end of the day, life isn't about having everything figured out. It's about showing up for yourself day after day, even when it's hard. It's about being willing to face the discomfort, to learn from it, and to use it to become stronger and more resilient. And if you can do that, if you can keep going even when it feels impossible, you're going to wake up one day and realize that you're not just surviving anymore, you're thriving, and that's a truth that most people never understand. But you're living it. When you're feeling behind in life, it's so easy to get caught up in comparing yourself to everyone else. Social media, success stories, even your friends and family, it can feel like everyone else has it figured out while you're still stuck at square one. But what if I told you that comparing your journey to someone else's is actually one of the most toxic things you can do for your confidence and self-worth? Because here's the truth, no two journeys are ever the same. Your timeline, your challenges, your path, it's all unique to you. And every time you compare, you're taking away from the energy and focus you could be putting into your own growth. Comparison is a trap. It's a game you can't win because you're always measuring yourself against someone else's highlight reel. You're not seeing their doubts, their failures, or the times they felt like giving up. You're only seeing the end result, the polished, perfect version they want you to see. And when you measure yourself against that, you're always going to feel like you're not enough. But here's the thing, you don't have to play that game. You can choose to focus on your own lane, to honor your own journey, and to trust that where you are right now is exactly where you're supposed to be. One of the most powerful things you can do when you're feeling behind is to get really honest with yourself about what you actually want. Not what everyone else thinks you should want. Not what your parents, your friends, or society tells you is right. But what you want. Because the moment you start chasing someone else's dream is the moment you lose touch with your own purpose. And that's when you start to feel stuck and unfulfilled. So I want you to take a moment right now to ask yourself, what does success look like for me? What kind of life do I want to build? What are the values that actually matter to me? When you're clear on your vision, it becomes so much easier to drown out the noise and stay focused on what actually matters. You stop caring about what everyone else is doing because you're too busy creating something that's meaningful and real to you. And here's another thing that's going to help you stay in your lane, gratitude. I know it might sound cheesy, but gratitude is one of the most powerful tools you have for shifting your mindset. When you're feeling behind, it's easy to focus on everything you don't have. The money you don't have, the success you haven't reached, the milestones you're missing out on. But when you choose to focus on what you have, the skills you've developed, the lessons you've learned, the people who support you, you're shifting your energy from lack to abundance. You're reminding yourself that you're already enough, even if you're not exactly where you want to be yet. Gratitude doesn't mean you stop working for your goals. It doesn't mean you settle for less than you deserve. What it means is that you're giving yourself the grace to appreciate the journey, even when it feels messy and uncertain. And when you do that, you're actually fueling yourself with the kind of energy that's going to keep you going for the long haul. Another thing that can help when you're feeling behind is to redefine what progress looks like. So often, we think progress has to be big and flashy. We think it's about promotions, paychecks, and big wins. But the truth is, real progress usually happens in the small, quiet moments, the ones no one else sees. It's in the early mornings when you're working on your goals, even when you'd rather stay in bed. It's in the moments when you choose to keep going, even when you're tired or discouraged. Those small, consistent actions are what build real, lasting change. So stop waiting for the big milestones to feel proud of yourself. Start celebrating every step you take, because that's how you're going to build the confidence and momentum you need. Finally, I want you to remember that your worth isn't defined by how quickly you reach your goals. It's not defined by how you stack up against other people's timelines. Your worth is something that's always been inside of you. It's in your courage, your resilience, your willingness to keep going even when things get hard. And the more you tap into that, the more unstoppable you become. So if you're feeling behind right now, I want you to take a deep breath and remind yourself that you're not behind, you're exactly where you're meant to be. Every setback, every challenge, every little victory, it's all part of the path that's uniquely yours. Trust it, own it, and most of all, keep going. Because when you stop comparing and start focusing on your own journey, you're going to discover just how powerful and capable you really are.